the barefooted, naked, yeah, no shoes, Bedouins will be competing against each other. In the later times, competing tall buildings. Now, at that time, these people were living not in palaces. They didn't even have shoes, the Bedouins. Let alone they'll be competing building tallest buildings. Look at today now. Who are the ones competing with each other building tallest buildings?
Yeah, see, this is very vague.
It's not vague. Who are they doing it? The Germans?
I guarantee you, I can give you another different interpretation.
No, that's fine. Let's have a look. Let's see if we. No. Let's see whether I can.
My point is that because the theory is so flexible, it's virtually impossible to falsify it. Because no matter how much
We need to give one example
because there's not enough evidence to topple the flexibility of the theory.
If your theory is the society undergoes all kind of changes, then that includes all kind of changes. So whatever you bring to falsify it, you can't falsify it because it undergoes all kinds of changes. If it was like this, then this is not something very, very amazing theory to begin with. But what we're talking about is not something like this. Because this is a statement you're making saying, my statement includes everything. So, dispute it. No. Because whatever you say is going to part of this everything.
You're saying that this is a bad theory, and I agree with you. The idea of falsification or falsificationism was originally, popularized to distinguish or demarcate between pseudosciences and the quote-unquote real sciences. And the reason is that pseudoscience. What Karl Popper said, for example, was that pseudosciences cannot be falsified, or it's nearly impossible to be falsified, whereas real sciences can be falsified. When you use the example of using falsification as like a test to sciences and like Quran and such, for science.
But is he happy with that though?
Only him.
Only
don't worry about it.
Yeah. So you could falsify science if science is adequate or not like flexible enough to be demarcated into the pseudoscience camp. Yeah. But my point is that for the Quran, because I don't know enough about the Quran, but I do know that it does. The wording of it is most certainly apt for many interpretations, and so it shares a similar flexible characteristics that you might have for like Freudian psychoanalysis or like Marxism, for example. In that you can virtually fit any evidence as proof.
This is where I would want you to,
because it can't be falsified. It's not falsified.
It's not like this. Let me give you an example.
It can only be falsified if it's falsifiable.
It's falsifiable. Let me give you an example.
So
let me give you an example. The Quran talks about in one of the chapters of the Quran. Please, not him only, right?
Stand behind him.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So it says right, the Romans have been defeated in the nearest land, but they will soon be victorious within 3 to 9 years. That statement is quite clear. If now, after this event, 3 to 9 years passed, and they did not become victorious, then that statement in the Quran that they will be soon victorious will be disproven. So we have this kind of specifics, which is falsifiable. And that's where the Quran brought people's attention. How does the Quran make predictions of the future when it's something so risky, because it risks all of the credibility of the person who's making it, when he doesn't even have to talk about predictions in the future, about his prophethood. And it comes as exactly as the Quran says, then how is that possible? So things like this, various examples in the Quran, that is falsifiable nature. But of course, the Quran did not become falsified because of this. Another example is a person called Abu Lahab, which is his nickname, that he shall go to hellfire, and those who go to hellfire, those who reject Islam, reject the Prophet Muhammad, okay? And do not worship God and accept God. This particular individual, when he was told that you will go to hellfire, all he had to do is simply say, but oh, I believe, even as a hypocrite. Oh, I believe, I accept your God, and I accept you as the prophet of God. Then by that acceptance, you should not be going to hellfire. So he could have disproven, falsified the statement of the Quran. But he had 10 years or so he lived after that statement came, and he died in his own disbelief. So it was easily falsifiable, but he had the opportunity, but how come he could not? So that's the thing we're talking about when it comes to the Quran. There are falsification types where you can actually falsify the Quran, what it says. Like it says, last example, I'm not going to bore with much. Oh, you did not know this before. When the Quran comes and says, you did not know this before, now it's like speaking as an authority, like everyone in the community, no one knew about these things. Talking about a past historical thing. Someone could have just said, I know. I learned about it. Well, I've been there. I've seen it. No one came historically.
So has the Quran made mistakes before?
The Quran claims that it's free from any mistakes. So it doesn't have any mistakes.
So it doesn't have any mistakes.
Exactly, that's what it claims. Free from errors and inconsistencies. That's another falsification test for it. If it was not from God, you would find within it mistakes and discrepancies. That's the claim it's making.
The thing is, is that I would assume that at least for the examples that you made, there were a lot of like the wording that was used in Quran was probably quite precise.
Yeah.
In that you're certain that the Quran is referring to this specific thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
The wording is very clear.
So
there is no ambiguity. There are ambiguous verses in the Quran which allows for multiple interpretation.
Yes.
But these ones are very clear.
So the thing is, what makes a theory sufficient in prediction? Well, a theory is sufficient in prediction when all of its results are correct, or is predicted to be correct. And
I didn't get that.
yeah,
You can make a theory, doesn't mean you have to have before you begin making your theory everything correct.
Well,
Once you propose a theory about a particular book, and you're saying this book is free from that, then it should be free from that, all of it consistently.
So say that you have a target of prediction, right?
Yeah.
So you want to predict.
100%. It should be 100%.
So say that
Yeah.
the target of prediction is the movement of leaves on this tree or something.
Yeah. No, whatever you predict, it should be 100% true.
And you build a theory about it. Yeah, and it should be 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Quran does that.
the,
Exactly.
yeah.
Every single thing it predicts, it says about things, it has to be true.
But the
there
thing
cannot
is-
be a single instance where it's incorrect or mistaken.
Yeah, but the thing is that as long as there's one case
Yeah.
in the Quran where the wording is ambiguous, but still it is interpreted.
Ambiguous about what?
But it's ambiguous.
About prediction?
Yes. So it's worded ambiguously, but it's actually aiming to
It's not.
predicting something.
No, the Quran is, when it's prophesizing it, it's very clear what it prophesizes.
Okay, so you're saying that every single prophecy that the Quran is saying,
I would say it's very clear.
it's very, very clear.
It's very clear.
Can you give me like an example on your phone right now?
Yeah? I've given you three already. I've given you one about.
No, but like the text. I want the text.
Yeah. There you go.
No, but no, it's not my point. Some people you say, you don't know me clear, still they walk away. That's my point.
So this is this chapter I was talking about.
Walk away, you want everyone to stay. That's why I said to understand. They will check it later. Yeah, they will not see the face.
Surah number 30.
Put in your pocket.
The Romans have been defeated in the nearest or nearer land. After the defeat will be victorious within 3 to 9 years. The decision of the matter before and after is only with God, Allah.
Yeah,
And on that day, believers will rejoice. So Romans have been defeated in the nearest land or the lowest part of the land.
Yeah, I was there.
After they have been defeated, they will be soon victorious again within 3 to 9 years. Bid'a sinin is a term in Arabic that gives you between 3 and 9 years. And that day, the believers will rejoice.
So this is the question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Can you believe a historical textbook to be written in this format?
I don't understand your question. What do you mean by history? This is not a historical textbook.
Yeah.
This is a scripture, verbatim, passed on, word for word, so that we can be sure the wordings about it. The language is preserved by dictionaries written around that time. People continue to speak the same language, teach the same language, and study the same language. Contemporary historians, you can go and see what happened within this time period, and you can see history. Because if you have multiple attestation of history narrated by multiple historians or chroniclers, then you know, okay, they are talking about that particular event of history. Not an interpretation of history, but an event of history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And well, my point is, so do you have, for example, a list of how many predictions that the Quran made in its prophecy? Like a rough estimate.
No, I don't need to. I mean, for me, I'm saying is, if we were to deal with one by one, this one, how would you explain this one? Why would someone need to make a prediction to prove that he was a prophet of God when there is a risk involved? If someone is not a true prophet of God, an imposter, a fake individual, then these kind of things is actually quite challenging and risky. When you do risk mitigation, you would avoid all of these kinds of things. So this is one.
Because I'm not trying to question the motivation of the prophets.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, okay, now, so I've given you an example. So let's deal with the example.
No.
Is that precise? Is that clear? Is it ambiguous?
The only thing that I'm trying to talk about right now is whether or not this event that you're referring to is actually the refrain, the event that is you think it's predicting in history.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
because we know when the Prophet lived, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know this big event about the Romans being defeated during his time, because we can study the Byzantine history at that time, between the times of say 610 to 6 something, right? We can study that event. Were they fighting between the Romans and the Persians? And at what point, what happened? Did they lose and did they be victorious? We have the historical information. So I don't have to have the book self-referentiating everything. Oh, by the way, these are the Romans and so on. No, we can go to external history, multiple attestation and corroboration, and understand the event that the Quran is referring to. Quran is not a book in vacuum. It's a historical book in history.
From what you're telling me, though, it seems like the certainty that this event that is happening is the historical events that the historians are referring to is from purely that Muhammad or the person who wrote the Quran is or not the person who wrote the Quran. Again, I'm very ignorant.
But
about
that's fine.
this.
That's
Sorry
fine.
about
He
this.
received the Quran from God, right? It's a revelation.
So yeah. So it is only it's contingent upon that he did receive the Quran from God in that period of time, and also that he lived in that period of time.
No, we have
the thing
historical
is,
evidence of manuscripts of the Quran going towards the very first century of Islam. So we know that this is real because it's talking about that time frame, from that time frame, about that time frame. Yeah.
But my point is, like, how would you characterize as an adequate description? Well, you would characterize like a historical description as like an adequate description when you're trying to fit in Muhammad's life in different periods throughout history, and that's
he lived in a particular amount of time. This is a historical reality. There's no dispute about that. We are not hyper skeptics like I don't exist and he didn't exist either. So the fact that he existed in a certain time frame is acceptable to historians. They are not like fringe historians who believe, oh, I don't believe he existed. He's a historical person in reality.
Yeah, but the thing is that this text,
and
the way that it's
that
written,
text is
for
locatable from that time period.
Okay.
That's what we know from also non-religious history. Secular history corroborates the text and history that it talks about. So we have side by side a religious historical text and a secular historical text, and they corroborate with each other.
That's good. Yeah.
I appreciate your point, but yeah, we have that.
If that is true, then you have. I guess my point again is that I'm not targeting on whether or not Muhammad did live in his time or what. I'm not targeting on what the motivation of the person who made this prophecy is. What I'm only targeting is that the prophecy itself, the wording of it, and also whether or not it is precise enough to be interpreted to this specific event or this specific fact happening in history, and not have the wording to be flexible enough where you can have several different interpretations of the prediction that is happening. That is the only thing that I'm targeting.
I understand your point.
And,
could this
and
be
based off my guess, I think, of there will be at least like hundreds different predictions in the Quran.
I appreciate your line of thinking.
Yeah.
Could this be a prediction that is actually retrospectively put, for example, actually it wasn't during this, I'm giving you some example. Could it be like this? He actually didn't say it, but later on, people, after the event, they actually put that in the Quran or made it like this. There are many, okay, so it's not like that. So we have a historical, we have this book talking about this event, before it occurred, and then the event occurred as the book says so. If this is what you're saying, then that's something that needs a rational explanation. Another example from his own life, from his own statement, he talked about how the barefooted, naked, no shoes, Bedouins will be competing against each other in the later times, competing tall buildings. Now, at that time, these people were living not in palaces. They didn't even have shoes, the Bedouins. Let alone they'll be competing building tallest buildings. Look at today now. Who are the ones competing with each other building tallest buildings?
Yeah, see, this is very vague.
It's not vague. Who are they doing it? The Germans? The Chinese? Who are now, in our time, competing, building the tallest buildings?
I have no clue, honestly.
The Arabs, Bedouin Arabs, the Bedouins. Burj Khalifa, you call it, all this, the tallest in the world, they're competing with each other. They didn't have anything, and now they're making the tallest buildings. The Prophet said there will be a time when they will be doing this, and now it's materialized.
So can you just repeat the quote?
Barefooted,
word for words?
yeah.
Okay.
So let me bring this statement word for word.
Because I guarantee you, I can give you another different interpretation.
That's fine. Let's have a look. Let's see if we. Let's see whether I can. Barefooted Bedouins. So I'll bring this hadith with Arabic word in English. Yeah. I want to get the Arabic and corresponding of it. So I've got the English. Let me get the reference. Muslim one.
So he's saying that the Quran has predicted that in Arab world, people are not competing to build like skyscrapers.
ওই যে barefooted বেদুইনরা যে tallest building তৈরি করবে ওটার আরবিক রেফারেন্স আমার দরকার আছে এখন দেখেন খুঁজে পান কিনা yeah okay so here it is read it here. So this is a statement of the Prophet in a book. This is the chapter of the book in this book, Riyadh al-Salihin. So the hadith number 60, introduction. These are all the Arabics and the corresponding English words. And you will find the barefooted, you can read here, naked poor shepherds competing with one another in the construction of higher buildings.
Okay. Well, first of all, there are a lot of shepherds, poor shepherds actually in
No,
China.
he's talking about
in China as well.
He's talking about his people
Yeah.
around the people he's talking about, the Bedouin. If I told you the Arabic words for it, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
No,
worries.
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm just gonna. Here. وأن ترى الحفاة والعالية رواد يتطاولون. Okay, so he's talking about again same barefoot, naked, these people who are like shepherds.
Can you go back to the
Yeah.
English text, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't
No,
understand.
sorry, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. This is wording of one that I can find. I can find different wordings of actual word in Bedouin there. So
Is
that
there
becomes,
is there like a reference, a clear reference that says that he's speaking about Arabians?
yes, that's what I'm going to try to find for you. If we do find it, then it becomes very specific, referring to a specific group of people in a specific times when they didn't have anything because they didn't have any shoes, and now they will be competing building highest buildings as we see today.
Again, it also depends on what you mean by tall, because like what do you mean by tall, for example? Do you really think that there's not another time in history, for example, where the different empires in the Middle East are competing to build like more glamorous palaces, for example? How is that not a demonstration of what happens here?
No, it's
And so
in the
now you
future,
have
these
multiple
people will be,
realizations.
because when we observe
Yeah.
the building of tallest skyscrapers, this is Sunan Ibn Majah? Okay, just 1 second, sorry. Let's see what the wordings is in here. So, it's the same wording here. Yeah, this is same wording here. Okay, no, I've not found the word which refers to, unless this word specifically means the Bedouins. Bedouins?
Bedouin, I mean, scholar says that.
Yeah, who are they?
I don't think it's scholar. You can read that all of it if you want.
No, when it my friend is asking here that where is it referring specifically that these people are referring to Arab Bedouins? Yeah, so that's what I want to. Maybe those terms do mean what I'm referring to. Yeah. So when you say about maybe in the past have happened, but if we observe today, the highest buildings are actually done by.
That's what the scholar says. Read that one. Shepherds Bedouin.
So Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, who is one of the scholars, commenting, explained that this indicates a reversal of circumstances. Those who were poor Bedouins and shepherds would gain wealth and compete in architecture and building. So it's referring to these kind of peoples.
Exactly.
So,
But like, okay, so it doesn't say that they're connected though. Like poor Bedouins and shepherds.
as I'm saying, look, my Arabic isn't that very good, but the words that are being used, it's not referring to someone who is like a non-Arab, but referring to those people who are in the deserts, Bedouin,
Yeah.
those who are.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
No.
But like, the thing is that, I was hoping that there's like a clear reference to that in the scripture and not.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Not from
This here,
a
but
scholar's
you
interpretation, if you
no,
know what I
the
mean.
scholars don't have to say that because when he talks about this,
They talk about, they call them Arabs.
Yeah.
That's the one, the Bedouin, actually.
So when you mention al-Arab in the context of the hadith about tall building, the Prophet possibly spoke about the Bedouin Arabs, al-Arab.
That's what they call them. That's the name they have.
In the narration it says,
The name they give the Bedouin.
he's doing Hufat mean barefoot.
Yeah, that's Arab. No, different.
No, he wanted specifically to say Arabs, but not. It doesn't say Arab in this one. It talks about barefooted, destitute, poor shepherds.
I apologize for not.
No,
being able
no,
to,
no. That's
complete
fine.
the argument because my friend is cold and we should
Oh, you have to
probably
go? No, that's fine. But what I'm just demonstrating here, look, to be an agnostic position is something suspending judgment, but we have enough evidence to actually sway to a positive understanding that there indeed is a creator, and indeed the creator has created us for a reason. That's my position. That's the Muslim's position. 1/4 of the world population believe in that, but it doesn't make it true. You need to look at the evidence for yourself, and that's what we're saying. The Quran gives us the indication is from God, as well as the compelling evidence for that indication is from God. Or that's what we're saying. Take care.
There's
Nice talking to you.
এখানে আছে যে